This is things you might not have heard. I am Jay Cleveland Payne, and 8 stories in the queue for you today. Stories from yesterday, you vetted as conversational, covering information, politics, current events, and pop culture news. Today, we're going to feature some Donald Trump news. Bank of America going crazy yesterday. And even though Pete Rose is no longer here, we still have Pete Rose to kick around. We'll explain that in the headlines today, plus 5 other stories to go with the 8 for the morning. We'll explain the vetting process, how we picked these stories for you today, where did you actually pick them. But first, a quick reminder that our website, thisisaconversationproject.com, our home for all things us. Find out why we do it and why you get what you get out of it from there. You can email us with your comments, concerns, and criticisms, all going to our email address, theconversationinbox@gmail.com. Today, if I've not said it so far, happens to be the 3rd of October, Thursday, 2024. And we have these 8 stories coming up, no particular order as they're being presented, just how this story's going to align. In fact, today's a little bit of wacky because when we looked at them, I was like, I should move these things around a bit, but I actually like the way they flow. So you let us know how our flow works as well. We're kicking things off. Not the most important story out there, but one that's going to have resolutions and resonations for the next 30 or so days, where we're talking about what's actually a Jack Smith story, but it is a Donald Trump story. Trump resorted to crimes to stay in office after 2020 loss, Jack Smith team says. And Jack Smith's team says this in a very, very deep, detailed document they put out yesterday, because this trial ain't going anywhere before the election. So Jack Smith is going to kind of prosecute this case in the court of public opinion by putting lots and lots of documents and lots of things that he believes and his team believes, and they think they can prove Donald Trump did to push the election his way, not from a standpoint where he was doing official presidential business, it just sort of happened, but as an actual candidate, he resorted to crimes, their quote, in his failed attempt to remain in power, losing the 2020 election against Joe Biden. The details go with election details, things he said outside of court, things he said to other people, and anecdotes that made it seem like he was just crime bossing it the whole time along, not just sort of, I won the thing and I got cheated, so we're trying to fix it. No, he pretty much knew he'd lost, and people kept saying he'd lost, and everything they were going to do to try to fix it, air quotes, he just sort of either ramrodded going forward, came up with really crazy ideas to make things happen, or if people kind of said, no, that's not going to work, he basically call them stupid and say, do it anyway. You need to go check the link and see some of the actual accusations that Smith has in this filing. And because if Donald Trump does become president again, he can simply wiggle his fingers and make it go away because he'll be in charge. If he doesn't become president again, then we'll have to put it back in the courtroom, sort of the angle that needs to be done for full court. So this will see what we'll see. But there are, chances that Kamala Harris could pardon Trump or something like that. Those rumors and innuendo are out there as well. But what it shows is that Trump's claim for immunity from prosecution is arguments for things that he did because he was the president were actions that were unlawful and not protected by any presidential privilege. He was just crime bossing it all the way. The next story, a bit bigger in the right now and the right yesterday, because this was an issue that I actually experienced to a point. Now, Bank of America customers reported an outage most of the day yesterday, with some seeing zero balances. I didn't see zero balances. I saw my balance from like 2 days ago, so I assumed I had money and I spent it. And let's hope it's there today when I actually see those bills come through. But we pulled this report from CBS News, our source for it. But essentially, anybody with a Bank of America account yesterday went to check their balance sometime early in the morning. I think the time hack on this is 9:30 Central Time, or sorry, Pacific Time, where all of a sudden zero balances started showing up on people's accounts. And then after a while, they were able to recover to a few days back where you could see balances. Ironically, if your credit card was there, you can see all the credit card balances you want to. You just cannot see what actual money you owned at the bank. Very interesting. They were able to fix it fairly late in the evening, but like I said, by the time I had noticed it, and by the time I needed to do something like go spend money with my debit card, it was middle afternoon, late afternoon, and I just sort of assumed the money would be there, and it seemed to be there. I want to check this morning. Everything seems to be back online and back in the normal sense. So no issues, no shenanigans on my account. On your account, it might vary. And I didn't hear about any actual instances of people going to spend money on debit cards or have transactions not flow because the money was not there, or anybody trying to use that example where they knew they had zero money and just kind of rolled with it. So I don't know any anecdotes on that one, but I guess we'll see in a few days who try to get away with this one on the zero balance going forward. Let's move on to story number 3, and literally moving on from the hype that is Caitlin Clark. The headline for story number 3: WNBA playoffs TV ratings revealed without Caitlin Clark, and it's not good. And as you may have expected, Caitlin Clark, who's been the darling of all all basketball this season with the rookie sensation, also a bit of Angel Reese as well. So she sort of plays a bit into this one. The Fever made to the playoffs for the first time in many years, so people wanted to watch the Fever go through. And the Fever, Caitlin Clark's team, got swept out of the first round. So with that, no one's watching second round basketball for WNBA, because no one knows what's going to happen, and they don't really care because Caitlin Clark's not there. That's unfortunately the problem that we have right now. Caitlin Clark has been such a lightning rod in some cases, but just a spark plug, we'll say, bringing people in there to watch stuff. It's just amazing what's happening. Now, of course, a lot of these games are competing with football right now, which is an issue, and baseball, playoff baseball is happening as well. So the larger sports are getting their actual due, as they should be. But this is a case where the star attraction is not on the court, and without that, that's not happening. Angel Reese being injured late in the season and not playing for the rest of the season may have something to do with that one, because there were some Angel Reese stands are out there who keep things long and doing the battle between the two, and I don't think they've announced Rookie of the Year yet. I think that's going to happen closer to the final, so we'll see what happens with that one. But if you love women's basketball like you say you do, why don't you show it and show some support and watch some more Fever basketball? Well, not Fever basketball. Watch more WNBA basketball and support the teams as they make their way to their championship this season, what's been a stellar season. But with 50% of the audience dropping without Clark and her team in the games, it's struggling to get those ratings right now. Our fourth story for this morning: ex-leaders of Penn State frat sentenced to 2017 hazing death of Timothy Piazza. This is a long time coming. The family is finally getting some sort of restitution, some sort of relief in this one. But we're hearing the news on this one. 2 former leaders of Penn State's Beta Theta Pi fraternity, Brandon Young and Daniel Casey, sentenced to prison for their roles in the hazing death of Timothy Piazza, at the time 19 years old, suffering a fatal injuries from a night of heavy drinking and fraternity initiation event. The fraternity's president, Young at the time, and Casey was his vice president, and they were sentenced to 2 to 4 months in jail. Not a lot of time, but it is something after all this time. Their sentencing comes after more than 24 fraternity members faced charges, and several pleaded guilty to hazing and alcohol-related offenses. The case led to the passage of Pennsylvania's Piazza anti-hazing law in 2018, which strengthens penalties for hazing incidents. Quick pause from the news. 4 more stories to come, and we'll get to some really interesting stuff where, synergy, corporate synergy. And this one, you may eat this one up, literally. But first, we're going to ask you for a little bit of help to get some more spreading of the news, literally the news we do here for the Conversation Project and other projects we have inside of More Bitter Media. And this is the Conversation Project. Like, share, and subscribe to the videos that we are producing. Like and share and subscribe to this video right here. If you like this video here, as people will see it in their feeds wherever they're watching it, we have the live full video on YouTube. It's, of course, on Facebook and X as well. People will see it. People will want to engage in it and watch a bit of it, especially if we come into it late. If you watch it live, we kicked off this thing about 5:30 Central Time a.m. So if people are kind of scrolling through, getting early news, they can see it, see what's going on, and maybe they'll actually catch it when we start things live, or they'll restart it when it's over on the replays forever. Share this with other folks out there who may not get up quite so early, but still love the news, love getting some news nuggets that aren't exactly the main hits, because right now all they're talking about is we're talking about the dock worker strike and the weather, and of course the election. But we have more than that. We have more conversational stuff, things that you actually told us about. So we'll explain that in a bit. But share it with other folks who really want to be engaged in the conversation and get them in the conversation. And if you're not subscribed to our work, subscribe to the channel so you can see more things coming down into your feeds. On YouTube, just subscribe to it and you'll see this thing as it goes live or as it repeats up, and our short clips going out of the way, and our hot takes as well. On Facebook and X, the same thing applies. More of just the long form stuff on Facebook and X. Subscribe to us on TikTok and you'll see the short form stuff and the hot takes there as well, as we do more things there for live. Subscribe to our feeds. We'll explain that in a bit and why it's important for you to see the stories we're putting out there, so you can literally be as a part of the stories that are out there. Like, share, and subscribe to get more love into the Conversation Project for all of us. Back to the news. Back to a pineapple be under the sea. Or maybe this is your first time getting there. But beginning October the 8th, in about 5 days, you can get Wendy's Krabby Patty collab, because it's not about collabing with rap stars. It's actually about Nickelodeon cartoons. The collab is coming to Wendy's restaurants for a limited time. Thank goodness. What do you give this collab? You get a hangout with SpongeBob SquarePants and the iconic Krabby Patty. The restaurant is bringing it in for a limited time, and it starts, as I said, October the 8th. 25 years of SpongeBob. Believe it or not, the sponge is 25 years old. You may have outgrown it, and your kids may be long gone, so you're not hearing that theme song all day long. But trust me, when we go to the minor league baseball games, SpongeBob SquarePants is a hit. It is there, along with Old Town Road, which is sort of interesting. But the feature theme menu includes a Krabby Patty, which is going to be a hamburger with 2 slices of cheese and a special Krabby Patty sauce, and a pineapple under the sea frosty. Pineapple flavored frosty. Yummy, yummy, yummy. US, Canada, and Guam will get a chance into an actual Krabby Patty. No Mr. Burns and no Squidward will be, no Mr. Krabs and Squidward will be around. Unfortunately, fans of fast food enthusiasts will enjoy this special item while it lasts. Krabby Patties. Synergy. Let's move on to a very serious story going on to Matthew Perry, and the doctor who actually helped supply him with ketamine has pled guilty to a drug charge yesterday. We initially posted before it, because it was before the actual hearing, that he was expected to plead guilty, and that is what happened. This is dealing with Dr. Mark Chavez, one of the 2 doctors who implicated in the supplying ketamine to actor Matthew Perry, who of course died from the overdose and drowning in the hot tub after overdosing from ketamine. Guilty plea was led in federal charges yesterday. He's 54 years old and admitted to conspiring to distribute ketamine, a surgical anesthetic, during a federal court hearing. The plea makes him the 3rd person involved in the case to plead guilty. Basically, everybody's just bowing under for this one as it comes through. There's really no defense for the offense in this one. Along with the others, he was accused of providing ketamine to Perry for about $4,500 a serving, a dose. The case drawn significant attention as ketamine was part of the drugs provided to him that were fueling his issues on prescription drug misuse. Even though he wrote a book about how he had to become clean and what happened to it, he essentially was lying to himself and us as he was still dealing with big time stuff like the ketamine. As we said earlier, we do cover the big stories and then big strikes. Right now, we're not covering today the strike of the dock workers, but that is a big deal. But we're going back to a previous strike from a few days prior, or about a week prior, I guess. Boeing is going to cut healthcare coverage for about 33,000 employees, and this is amid the strike that's going on right now. If they ain't nobody working, no money's coming in, and what's going to happen is people who are workers, whether they're on strike or on the job, are going to end up losing healthcare coverage. About 30,000 workers are expected to be healthcare cut by Boeing so they can save some money and save, not quite face, but save themselves in the process. The decision comes as the strike continues to impact production. The lost company paid health benefits took effect at the end of the day yesterday, with employees given options to cover the coverage using COBRA at their own expense. And COBRA is extremely expensive. This move affects thousands of workers across the U.S., and Boeing and the union remain in a standoff in contract negotiations involving wages, pensions, and other benefits. Now, you may have seen a lot of talk yesterday about the dock workers and the old guy who's basically, cursing on camera and saying what they're going to do. But there's more than one strike going on, and more than one issue that's happening that's causing issues for us, U.S., and the world for labor and getting things done. Boeing not building planes, not selling stuff is going to cause issues for airlines and for shipping issues, just like the dock workers are causing issues for shipping and things going on shelves. It's very important to keep up with the news for these types of issues, even if you're not a union worker, because prices of things are kind of important to all of us. And so you can pick a side. You can choose to go with labor or the unions, labor or the people, labor or the workers, but you need to really understand what's going on and what's happening. And you can have the actual say in what's going on and pushing the 2 sides to actually show up together and talk some things out. Finally, for today, our 8th story is on Pete Rose. And Pete Rose did something interesting. He got himself banned for baseball indefinitely. His baseball ban is forever. It's not for a lifetime. We've called it a lifetime ban because it's just colloquial. Colloquial? Did I say that right? Well, it's because, it's easy to roll off the tongue. But he does not have a lifetime ban. He is permanently banned from the Baseball Hall of Fame. That means it's not going to happen without a serious heavy appeal. And Major League Baseball is not going into this one. They're not going to do it. Pete Rose, cardinal sin, betting on baseball and betting on your teams, and you just can't do that. He did it. Pete Rose is still not going into the Hall of Fame as his MLB ban is permanent and not lifetime. His life may be over, but his time in the Hall of Fame will never happen. So this will cause interesting conversations because we won't be talking about him, while he's alive. He's alive, but he should be in the Hall of Fame. He's no longer alive, and there will always be talk about that. But as time will go by, and a lot of time have to go by for Pete Rose, people will start to forget the main bits and pieces, and people who aren't really baseball fans or aren't in the pop culture stuff won't have that reference going forward. It will be asterisked. It will be noted in baseball historians' books, rule books, because he'll always talk about all the records he broke that cannot be actually recognized. So now's your time to recognize Pete Rose for what he did, because the Hall of Fame ain't going to ever get it done. It is what it is. This is the point in time where we talk about our teaser story. We talk about the conversation project itself and how you are engaged in the process of making things happen. The teaser story here is we're telling about one story that's going to be posted fairly soon as we're recording this thing. And it's essentially how it works out. So we post news articles every 50 minutes or so on our feeds, and we'll get to the feeds in a moment. And what we need you to do is just engage in the stories. Follow us in the feeds because they're Facebook, they're X, they're Threads, they're sites you're already checking out for people's opinion. And so while you see what our opinion is, which is basically news articles, we need your opinion on them. Like, love, hate, share them as you see them. A teaser story right now is one that's really not one of the big, hot, heavy ones, but something I've been actually dealing with for about a decade, maybe a bit longer, as satellite radio and other technologies and people just plugging their phones into the cars is becoming an issue for car makers on what to put in their cars because unnecessary stuff costs them money. Congress is trying to force car makers to keep AM radio in their cars, and a couple of things they're trying to do in the process. The reason behind this, even though AM stations are literally dying all over the place, if case of emergency, AM radios is the best way to go. So Congress is trying to make sure that AM radio survives inside the cars. One, so that you have emergencies, and two, so that the markets for AM radios, a lot of your talk stations and sports stations are actually on AM because you don't have to have, crystal clear quality. You just need a nice big signal to cut cost away. Do you want to talk about this one? Or are there other stories you want to talk about? You go to our feeds on Facebook, Threads, and X, and you just tell us by engaging in the stories. On Facebook, facebook.com/This Is the Conversation Project. On X, x.com/th_conversation. On Threads, threads.net/@This Is the Conversation. And as we said, every 50 minutes, we post a article from various sources. Some you may love, some you may not know about. This is from The Conversation, much more popular than the Conversation Project. And we had to actually change our name because we even got confused with it. Even the speech bubble is kind of confusing. But The Conversation is a news site that does a lot of in-depth journalism and brings up, just like we do, things that are conversational. So we want you to find them and not get confused with them but us. But this is a story here that popped up, and once I saw it, this is something that means a lot to me as a former radio person and a person who loves the genre and a person who understands why it's important to have this access in your car, even though many people aren't turning on the AM radio these days. Is this a story you want to talk about? You engage in it and let us know. Hit the smiley, likey emoji face you want to with it. Make sure you're sharing with people. Comment on, as you will, on this story and other stories. And the stories with the most engagement get a chance to be talked about the next day. We'll take half of the stories with the top half of stories from today, as we do this on Thursday, and sift through those and give you 8 stories into the rundown for tomorrow. That's it. 8 stories you have come from the top 15 or so stories of the full day we'll have for this Thursday. So it's up to you to make this thing happen. You actually make us their lineup. You tell us what to talk about every single day for the Conversation Project. Quick check-in with our sponsor, and we're checking in with Zenni Optical again. Zenni is their name. Go to this is a conversationproject.com/Zenni, Zenni, and you get a chance to get great eyewear for great prices, low prices, discount prices, economy prices, whatever you can call them. They're not cheap glasses. They're just great glasses prices, and they look as good and work just as well as anything you can buy that's a designer level. So if you're not trying to overly impress somebody, you just want to see things out your eyeballs, check out Zenni Optical. They'll take good care of your eyes and take good care of us in the process because they are an affiliate sponsor. As you see, when you use our link, we get a small commission for you going to there. And they've got some new pretty cool things going on right now. Right now, they're offering free shipping for new customers. So if you're a brand new customer, there's a code for you to click for free shipping on everything. And that's even the really, really inexpensive stuff. I mean, my lenses cost $7. My glasses themselves, regular glasses, are less than $15, and they'll take care of shipping on that one. Not me, because I'm a repeat customer. However, the really cool thing about this they have right now is they are offering up a new plan, a new rewards program. And with that rewards program, you can get 30% off Pete's Coffee. One of the things we provide here at Conversation Project as part of our goodie bags for people that get in and incentives is a conversation blend of coffee. It's a coffee I literally blend myself with my own two hands. And so we love good coffee and conversational coffee. Pete's Coffee can probably not be beat, and get 30% off that from your actual join the rewards program, which means you get good glasses and good coffee at a very good price. You can't knock that. So check it out today. This is a conversationproject.com/Zenni. This is a conversationproject.com/Zenni. As I said, all of our links, all of our sponsors, you can check out at our website for the sponsors page. They are all affiliate sponsors. If you buy from them, we get a small commission back. That is how that works for us, keeping things funded going here for the Conversation Project. Let's move on to talk about us, because why not? Bragging about the Conversation Project real quick. The Conversation Project lives online at this is conversationproject.com. I said that in the first minutes coming into the show. Why is that important? At our website, you can find out more about us, the whys, the hows, and the value we give you with all the things we give you. We have videos, we have audios, we have newsletters, we have ways to get you news that might have gotten missed in the day's path of big news. Yes, we need to talk about the flooding and the storm damage, because we talk about that as well. Yes, we need to keep up with the election. Yes, we got you business news and talked about the strikes going on because it's important. But there's also other things that are just as conversational, just as good to have something to chat about, and maybe an interesting thing that may bring more people into news coverage in general. So we do our best to do that one. Check out our sponsorship page, and if you see a sponsor you like, consider them. Check out our partnerships page. You see a partner you like, partner path you like, consider that. Partners directly fund what we have, the Conversation Project. The more subscribers we have, if you help us, like, share, and subscribe, the less I have to ask about partners and sponsors, because I have more people to do more things. That's just a bit of incentive there. But if you want to help us out directly, do that. The most important things you can do is, of course, follow us wherever you want to follow that's best for you. YouTube, X, Facebook, on your podcatcher, on our newsletter, which is just straight news to you every morning. And of course, give us the news articles you want to talk about by going to the feeds. The feeds are on Facebook, X, and Threads. Follow our feeds. Let us know what stories to talk about. We will give you the rundown every single weekday morning with what we have that you basically tell us to talk about. It is that simple. Also, you can email us with your comments. It doesn't cost you a thing. We don't consider money to be the issue that bring in any reason for us to talking about stuff. You just give us your comments. We will take care of them. We will be a part of what's going on. So email us at the conversation inbox at gmail.com. You can also reply in the comments of any video we're watching and go from there. And we will see them. We will talk about them, or come in live if you want to as well. And the one big thing you can do, even if you're watching this on a recording, pop in the chat, pop in the comments where you're watching from, so we can do more things that are focused around you. We're going to do our best on that one. Right now, we're focused on taking care of us, because we're done for the day on this one. In a few moments, we're going to turn it around, hit the live button again. If you're watching me live, if it's almost 6 a.m. Central Time live, we're going to do things you might ought to know. This is the fun stuff. This is the birthdays. This is the history lesson. This is the celebration. And we have a couple things we think we're going to add to it. We got to make sure we keep it down to about 10 minutes, and I tend to ramble, so I have to work on that. But we're going to do our best to keep it down to 10 minutes, but maybe add a few more fun stuff for the day to get your day started. That's coming up in mere moments after we wrap this thing up. Hit pause on this one, or hit stop on this one. So thank you so much for being a part of what we have, the show going here. Love you. Mean it. We cannot do this without you. So literally, we cannot do this without you. So make sure you are following along with us on the feeds, following along with us in our correspondence, just being dears and following along. Love you. Mean it. One more day, more full day for the weekend, and before the weekend, and the weekend stuff. We'll explain that stuff come tomorrow. You enjoy the news? We enjoy giving it to you. So thank you for being a part of what we do here at the Conversation Project.